If it is a necessity, if there is no other alternative, then we should try to look for that alternative. But it is more about, at this point, in this situation where you are serving that which is served in the food for the kids, but it's beyond your control. So what do you do? Fattakullah mastata'atum. You fear Allah as much as what is in your capability, in your capacity. Allah make it easy.
Ameen, Shaykh. Now, Shaykh, we have the month of Dhul Hijjah approaching very soon. In 3 weeks, the month of Dhul Hijjah will be with us.
1st of August is the day that you go out to do the sighting of the moon for Dhul Hijjah.
Okay,
that
Shaykh.
will be the 29th of Dhul Qa'dah.
Okay.
So you're right.
1st of August.
1st of August.
So where do we go, Shaykh, to sight the moon?
You go to Morocco.
Locally.
Locally, yes. Inshallah, you can join me. I'll be at, most likely, either I'll be looking for a tall monumental building. Subhanallah, I was last week there in Sevilla, and we were able to go up a very special, almost 37 floors up. And I cannot describe to you to see the beauty of the Hilal and the crescent. Something amazing. We could not sit at that location in Sevilla on the 29th of Shawwal. And that location, it was sited in the location in Granada, which is 300 kilometers. It's still in southern Spain, but it's something amazing to try and encourage. So we hope that 1st of August, it is going to be 29th of Zulqa'dah. And when it is the 29th, then yes, indeed, there's going to be very important virtues for the month of Zulhijjah. And that is another important point that you are bringing. You said the time will pass by very fast. The month of Zulqa'dah, these are the months of Hajj. People are already setting out on this journey, a journey during the months, especially in the next week, coming week, they will be setting out. And what should we do when we enter into the month of Zulhijjah? So firstly, we hope that you will encourage local sighting so that you establish the month of Zulhijjah with certainty, and at the same time you take benefit from the days of wal fajri wal layalin ashr. Allah Ta'ala mentions by the dawn and the layalin ashr, the 10 nights. So these are referring to the 10 days, 10 nights of Zulhijjah, because in this month, in these days, the Hujjaj are really going to be performing their Hajj. This 8th of Zulhijjah, 9th of Zulhijjah, 10th of Zulhijjah, 11th and 12th of Zulhijjah. So inshallah, most important is to remember about your qurbani and your animal sacrifice.
What is that, Shaykh?
Because when the month of Zulhijjah set in, then remember, you're going to come close to a moment in time and a day which was made wajib upon the believers, the ummah, on the second year after Hijrah. Second year after Hijrah, meaning Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. So it means the Prophet ﷺ after Hijrah, after migration, and there is in Medina. So 6 years are passing by every year until the Hajj became Farad. So it means the animal was sacrificed on the 10th of Zulhijjah. And that is what the ruling is. If it is wajib upon you to sacrifice an animal, it's called qurbani, and that's how we get the name Eidul Adha.
And on that point, Shaykh, we have to take a break. So once we're back, we'll continue on the point of the Udhiyah and Qurbani and everything, because I think we have some of our viewers who are calling and are interested as well. So if everyone, stay tuned, inshallah. We'll be back after a few minutes, inshallah. For now, assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to today's Ask Eman show. We're going to be here up until 8:30 inshallah to answer your questions, brothers and sisters, about your life as a Muslim. So if you have any questions, give us a call on 0203 515 0769. Otherwise, you can send your written questions via message to our WhatsApp number, email address, or if you're watching along on YouTube, you can leave it at the comment section inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. Welcome back after the break.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you feeling, Shaykh?
I'm feeling good, mashallah.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. So, Shaykh, we were on the topic of Qurbani.
Mashallah, Qurbani.
Yes, and you were telling us about Qurbani, the sacrifice, Udhiyah. Tell us a bit more about Qurbani, but also I want to know about the word Qurbani. Where does it come from, Shaykh, and what does it mean?
I mean, generally, Qurbani is sacrifice, and Arabic, Adha, Udhiyah, it is sacrifice. So it is, whether it is a little bit from the word Qurban, which is more, is it more Urdu, or but Arabic, it is normally we say from Eid al-Adha. So we call it Eid al-Adha, but where it really, when you speak about Qurban, what comes to mind is the animal that has to be sacrificed, because you are making Qurbani. So you'll find that, especially in Urdu language, that it is sacrificial of the animal. And that act of sacrifice is so crucial, so important, that when we enter the month of Zulhijjah, and if a person knows that it is wajib upon him to sacrifice an animal, if he's an adult, if it is a Muslim, and if he has ownership of nisab, of that amount of money, then it's very important that that animal has to be sacrificed. Now bear in mind, there is no better days to worship Almighty Allah Ta'ala. ما من أيام أحب إلى الله يتعبد فيه من, that is meant the 10 days of Zulhijjah. Because even in one narration, even if a person has to go out for jihad, not even jihad, except that one who goes out with his wealth, with his money, and he comes back, he goes with his life and he returns with nothing. It's like saying that is how special virtues are there attached to these 10 days of Zulhijjah. And Allah Ta'ala also takes an oath and qasam by the days of Zulhijjah, wal fajr wal layalin ashr. So when we are thinking about, what comes to mind is really Allah Ta'ala tested Ibrahim alayhi salam, where he's seen in a dream that he's sacrificing his son. So most important, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he came to Medina, Eid al-Adha was made compulsory on the second year after Hijrah. That means every year the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would have the animal sacrifice. And Hajj became farad only in the later on, after 6 years. We are referring to the 9th year after Hijrah. When the Prophet, on the 6th year, and when the Prophet done the Hajj, was it the 9th year after Hijrah. So bear in mind that most important is, as soon as we come closer to the days, Eid al-Adha is very special, because it is wajib, compulsory, to sacrifice the animal after the Eid prayer. فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. So that is the reason why we say, you are coming to a time where Allah Ta'ala had tested Ibrahim alayhi salam so much. And imagine, not only the Hujjaj are going to sacrifice the animal, but wherever the Muslim is, wherever the Muslimah is, the adult, in every part of the world, they're going to commemorate and reflect on the action of Ibrahim alayhi salam, as Allah Ta'ala reminds us in the Quran, فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعْيَ قَالَ يَا بُنَيَّ إِنِّي أَرَى فِي الْمَنَامِ أَنِّي أَذْبَحُكَ فَانْظُرْ مَاذَا تَرَى. Now that story and that reflection of how Ibrahim alayhi salam has to take his son when he reaches that age. Now when we speak about بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعْيَ, father and son, when the father becomes of age and now he is so connected and is hoping, son normally has to take care of the father and the parents, but now he has been given the order to sacrifice his beloved son. So that is why it's a very powerful moment and time that is coming ahead of us, Eid al-Adha, the day of sacrifice. And Qurbani is more, because you cannot give money in substitution of the animal, meaning the blood has to be spilled, the animal has to be sacrificed. And at the same time, as Allah Ta'ala reminds us in the Quran, قُلْ إِنَّ الصَّلَاةِ وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Just imagine the time when you are sacrificing that animal. إِنِّي وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِيَ لِلَّذِي فَطَرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ حَنِيفًا وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. All that is to emphasize that, our salah, our nusuk sacrifice, our living and dying is for Rabbul Alameen. It is not even the blood that reaches Almighty Allah Ta'ala. لَن يَنَالَ اللَّهَ لُحُومُهَا وَلَا دِمَاؤُهَا وَلَكِنْ يَنَالُ التَّقْوَى مِنْكُمْ. It is not the luhum and the flesh and the blood that reaches Almighty Allah Ta'ala, but in reality it is the taqwa and the piety. So bear in mind that yes, indeed, to sacrifice that animal, for every hair that is on the animal there is reward, but what reaches Almighty Allah Ta'ala is not the blood or the flesh, it is really the piety and the taqwa that reaches Almighty Allah Ta'ala. May Allah Ta'ala accept.
Ameen, Shaykh. Jazakallah khair. Our next question, Shaykh, is going to be from our WhatsApp questions. And the question is, are men allowed... No, we addressed that. How do we practice patience with our parents?
I mean, when somebody becomes of age, and the Quran makes it very clear, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. So after it has been ordained, where Almighty Allah Ta'ala, your Rabb, your Creator, has commanded that you worship Him and nobody else. And immediately after worshipping your Creator, who is next in the rank in status? وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. So how much greater emphasis can there be? Because at the end of it, we have to worship Allah, our Creator. And if Almighty Allah Ta'ala has elevated the status of the parents so much so, إِمَّا يَبْلُغَنَّ عِنْدَكَ الْكِبَرَ أَحَدُهُمَا أَوْ كِلَاهُمَا فَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ. If one of them or both of them become of age, you do not even say uff to them. وَقُلْ لَهُمَا قَوْلًا كَرِيمًا وَاخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جَنَاحَ الذُّلِّ مِنْ رَحْمَتِي. So when you're speaking kindly to them, and you're placing the wings of rahmah and mercy, and you're making a dua, رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِ صَغِيرًا. All that is some of the etiquette, adab, that you have to take care of your parents. You have to have love for your parents. You have to be kind to them. You have to speak to them. You cannot be harsh to them. You have to remember and think how they took care of you. Not only were they concerned about your physical well-being, but they were also concerned about your education. So they are your, we say, the primary carers of the children. They are responsible for your upbringing, your tarbiyah. And hence, how do we show kindness and gratitude to the parents? So there's so much to discuss about it, but time is so short.
Yes, Shaykh. Jazakallah khair, Shaykh, for that reminder. May Allah reward you. Now we're going to go to our next caller of the show. Assalamu alaikum to our caller. Welcome to the show. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Wa alaikum assalam wa ta'ala barakatuh. Please, Sheikh, I want to ask only one question about Qurbani.
Go ahead, sister.
Okay. I just want to know if 5 or 7 people are sharing the cow, and how old is the minimum age for the cow supposed to be?
Okay. What's the minimum age of the cow that's going to be
yes,
used for the udhiyah? Okay, thank you so much. Do you have any other questions?
No, at the moment. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your call. Jazakallah khair.
Yeah, I mean, that's very important because the age of the animal is important. And if the cow, the large animal, the bull has to be 2 years. So if you're having a goat or a sheep, and that animal has to be 1 year, has to pass by. And if it's a camel, it should be 5 years. So please do check the age of the animal. We don't want an animal to be sacrificed. Imagine if that animal, if you are sacrificing a goat or a sheep, because there are 7 shares for a large animal. So if it's a cow or a buffalo, whatever, then 2 years should pass by. It should be that age. And if it is a goat or a sheep, 1 year should pass by. Now, people are selling animals, and if they are very young, imagine 6 months old, 7 months, this is not acceptable. So it's a very good point, and do emphasize on it. That animal, the age is important to consider when you are purchasing that animal, because there are people whom you may just be giving them your money, and they could be having animal sacrifice at very young age, and that is not acceptable.
Also, Sheikh, there's conditions. Sorry, there's the animal has to be in a
Yes, the animal
good
has to be
condition.
healthy. The animal, you have to look at all that.
The horns, right?
The horns, everything, all these things need to be considered. You cannot just imagine, when we're
Yeah.
looking at animal, because
It has to be something good.
it has to be really good,
Yeah.
because the
it's
real
presented
spirit
so-
of qurbani, real spirit of sacrifice is where, if you're ideally in a place like, where I'm born in South Africa, where we normally, in my young age, my parents used to purchase the animal, and that animal we used to, because a cow, we have big 7 chairs in a, for example, and that animal used to be with us, and we should see it almost every day, and it was a lot of excitement. It was a day of really great excitement, and a bond is built between the person and the animal until the day comes he has to now sacrifice that animal. So this is something which is quite lacking here. Here you are having Eid prayer, and then you are having party, but here you should, after Eid prayer, you should go and look at the animal and prepare for
And with
animal
that, Sheikh, we're going to
sacrifice.
take a quick break and we'll be back after a few minutes, inshallah. Stay tuned and we're going to continue on the topic of Qurbani. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the last part of today's Ask Eman show. We're going to be here for the next 10 minutes, inshallah, to take your questions and get them answered by our special Shaykh today, Shaykh Suliman Gani, joining us all the way from South Africa. How are you today, Shaykh?
I said I was born in South Africa. I'm not from there.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. But you are from there. You're not from there?
No, I came from Croydon.
Oh, okay. Oh, today. Where are you from originally, Shaykh?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, my great parents are from India.
Oh, mashallah.
So,
and they
my
migrated
parents
to South
born
Africa.
in South Africa, yes.
Oh, mashallah. Alhamdulillah. Rich heritage, Shaykh.
I don't know what you mean by that, but alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, may Allah bless you and your family, Shaykh. Shaykh, we've been discussing.
My father's name is Ibrahim, by the way.
Oh, really? Yeah. MashaAllah, like me. Like the Prophet, yes, like the Prophet Ibrahim.
Alhamdulillah, not like you.
Alhamdulillah, Shaykh. Jazakallah khair. But on the topic of Prophet Ibrahim, of course, Shaykh, there's a big connection between the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah and Hajj and Qurbani to the Prophet Ibrahim, correct?
Yes, indeed. The whole days in Eid al-Adha, and as soon as we enter the month of Dhul Hijjah, it needs to be pointed out also that Eid al-Adha is a very important day, given that millions of Muslims will be sacrificing the animal. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ. So you offer your salah first. So that means your animal cannot be sacrificed before its time. You cannot sacrifice the animal on the day and then have your Eid prayer. And that is the reason why there is also great emphasis why you said Hajj and Eid. Eid is not connected to the Hajj, because Eid was made farad, compulsory in Medina in the second year after Hijrah. And before that there was no Hajj.
Oh, okay.
So that is why there is confusion. People think that after Arafah is Eid.
Oh.
But the reality is, Eid was done, Prophet ﷺ 6 years in Medina. Every year the animal is sacrificed.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then Hajj became farad.
Before Hajj.
Before Hajj. So Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha was made farad second year after Hijrah. It needs to be pointed out because this is one of the biggest confusion we have, that there is an understanding that the whole world should have Arafat on the same day. And that goes against the logic, because you cannot possibly have whole world, because if you want to benefit in the month of Dhul Hijjah, and you may ask the question that Yom Arafah is such an important day, and then you're going to see the Hujjaj on the plains of Arafat on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, but there is a great possibility that they will be standing on the plains of Arafat before other parts of the world. And you know, when a declaration is made in Saudi Arabia, Al-Hajj kama yuhajju nas, then the Hajj is valid. Why? Because there is an authority, there is a system, and Hukmul Hakim Raf'ul Khilaf. So there is no doubt about the Hajj is valid. Whatever the date is made, declaration, and if somebody is going for Hajj, no problem. The question is, the people in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Morocco, in Africa, and people said no, there is why they are doing the day after, why is when already people are in Arafat? No, it needs to be pointed out. You likulli baladin ru'ya, so you will commence your Islamic month like how they do in Morocco. 278 locations, they will go out to do the sighting of the crescent moon on the 1st of August, and the predicted visibility is saying there is no possibility of sighting that crescent moon in Morocco on the 1st of August, and even in the whole Mamlaka al-Arabiya Saudiya, there is no possibility. So that is the expected, most likely they should commence on the same date, and hence, but it may happen that countries on the extreme west, like in South America, the visibility is showing you that there is possibility of sighting there. So therefore, they will not have to wait another day. As soon as they sight it, they commence it. And that is the virtue and fadila of taking benefit of the month of Dhul Hijjah, is when you start it with the sighting of the moon, and then people will want to keep fast. And when it is, so it mustn't be that you might thinking, oh, people are on Hajj, so we have to synchronize the date. This has never been in the evidence over 1,000 years. Never has there been an effort to try and synchronize the date. Whatever declaration is made there, you have to follow it. It means you have to do it according to your local sighting. And therefore, Eid al-Adha will be sacrificed on the 10th of Zulhijjah. And do you know, in the UK, we are expecting it to be, if I'm not mistaken, not the Sunday, but the Monday. It is, if it's the date is right, just check. Depending on how you start it, is it 11th of August or 12th of August? So that is what we need to discuss in our next program, inshallah.
Thank you so much, Shaykh. It's very, very educational. Thank you, Shaykh. Now, Shaykh, would like to speak about something we do every day, 5 times a day, and it's our salah. I would like to ask you, Shaykh, how do we attain khushu' in salah? But first of all, what is khushu'? How do we understand it?
I mean, at the end of it, Allah Ta'ala reminds us in the Quran, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. That's successful indeed, and indeed they are really greatly successful. So qad is used for tahqiq, to emphasize that, and aflaha is in the past tense, that they definitely have attained success. To whom? Those from the qualities and the sifat of the mu'mineen is that they have the quality of khushu', humility, devotion. قد أفلح المؤمنون الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون والذين هم عن اللغو معرضون والذين هم للزكاة فاعلون والذين هم لفروجهم حافظون إلا على أزواجهم وما ملكت أيمانهم غير ملومين فمن ابتغى وراء ذلك فأولئك هم العادون والذين هم لأماناتهم وعهدهم راعون والذين هم على صلواتهم حافظون. Now imagine Allah Ta'ala is giving us the qualities and characteristics of the believers, and the first thing is mentioned about khushu'. So yes, we need to build that devotion in our salah, and that is what is greatly lacking in our ibadah, because we don't have, it's that at-taqarrub ila Allah. We have to work and strive to gain that nearness to Almighty Allah Ta'ala, and this comes with the sweetness of our iman. Is, do we really have that sincerity, that ikhlas? It's like saying, وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. Do we really understand the concept of Tawheed? And that is the reason when you see the Hujjaj going to the plains, to those locations, and they've cast aside their outside garments, they are in a state of ihram, and they are standing on the plains of Arafat, and they are making dua, and they are reciting, and these verses, or the talbiyah reverberating, or it's like echoing if you could even say in the deserts of Arabia, for example, labbaik Allahumma labbaik labbaik la sharika laka labbaik innal hamda wan ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. So you will have those hujjaj when they're setting out, and they can only be in the state of consecration, in the state of ihram. Before the miqat boundary even, they are saying the talbiyah. So now you are building a very strong connection, the Tawheed al-Uluhiyya. We're speaking about the oneness of Almighty Allah Ta'ala. There is one thing called Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, Tawheed al-Asma wa Sifat. This is all about having a very strong bond with your Creator, so it brings khushu' in the prayer. And if there is really khushu', then you would find that a person, inna salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar, the salah will turn a person away from fahsha, from lewdness, from munkar. And see how much of munkar, how much of reprehensible actions are being carried out by so many people. One is the salah, and one is how is it that even though you are offering salah, but yet we are still inclined towards sinning. So there is lack of that khushu', devotion, sincerity, humility in our prayers. Allah make it easy.
Ameen, Shaykh. Thank you so much for that. Our next question is from our viewers. Are we able to gamble or play games which are to do with winning or gambling things, trading things which does not consist of money? Items, valuables, materials.
Next question. But anyway, generally what we're saying is gambling, all the, I mean, if it gives you that element of chance element, because sometimes you may, it says,
That's
losing.
That's it.
and if that is that element which is resembling the gambling, even if it's not money, but so that's what it means. You are gambling away, and that is something which is how can we explain that there is to be a certain type of illah when you base a ruling? Why is gambling haram, for example? So if somebody is spending money and there is no guarantee that he is going to receive anything, or he may receive something more than what he had spent, so it gives you again a similar, very similar to riba in interest. But sometimes you may be spending and then you may lose all of your wealth and your belongings and your property because of gambling. Then that is why totally haram. So it's best to avoid it.
Allah gave you those things. It's very ungrateful to waste them away that way.
Yes, so people, when they lose everything, and then you even lose your reliance in your creator, and there are people who have even committed suicide because only for the bad habit, evil habit of gambling.
Thank you, Shaykh. That brings us to the end of our show, Shaykh. It's been a pleasure having you with us, as always.
Assalamu alaikum. Jazakumullah khairan.
Shaykh Suliman.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Thank you so much to everyone who's tuned in today. We finish our show here. You're able to tune in tomorrow at the same time at 7:30. Until then, Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.